first step of an install, you want to disconnect the negative part of the battery. Right here on carriers, it's going to be on the left hand side of the reefer unit. 9/16 ratchet wrench is the best selection. Once you have disconnected the battery, make sure the terminal is not touching against the post to create any arcings. On a carrier harness for the install, you want to run the Dutch connection that connects to the gateway over the micro box, which will be coming out in this area, and you could pull the slack that you do not require. This is the slack that you would need for both harness. This will be your SATCOM. This will go in this area. This is your starter connection, your positive and negative, which is negative, positive up on top. 17. This varies between a 12 or 13 depending on the year of the reefer. With the positive and negative, eventually, when everything is connected, including the SATCOM, you're going to be applying zip ties in this area. This harness, you're going to piggyback. You'll be applying zip ties as after you connect to the starter. You want to break the nut loose before hitting it with any impact, and that's just to make sure it doesn't come loose, because this is a double side thread bolt. Give it a good snug quarter turn, and that's it for the negative. So once again, this is either a 12 or a 13. Your positive is going to run from this direction onto the stud. When you put the positive back on, please go slow with your impact or with your ratchet. Once you feel it grabbing, just want to give it a little snug turn, quarter turn, and And that's it. After securing positive and negative connections, these are your key points of zip ties. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 over here. 5 is over here. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the starter harness. Try to make sure the fuse is facing right side up. Zip tie number 5 you're going to leave loose, and also make sure you include the SATCOM, also known as interface harness. This is known as your interface cable and SATCOM communication harness. The reefer, if always going to have quite a few connections, the one that you're going to look for always has a white connector at the end. It's a 3-pin. When you disconnect this cover, you will have a orange grommet right here. This is the only one with the orange grommet, and that's how it comes from the carrier dealer. This will plug into here, and that is how you connect your interface, also your SATCOM harness. After connecting the interface harness, you want to pull back on the slack where you have this fold. You do not want to apply too much pressure where it creates a pinch on these wires. So from this point, I'll grab a zip tie. The zip tie. If you cannot get a zip tie around all the connections, as long as you get at least 1 or 2 connections where it's not going to create any vibration, you'll tuck it back in to this area where you will find the harness. Please remember to snip the slack off the zip ties. We do not want any zip ties with additional slack. When you come to zip tie number 5, after you adjusted the interface harness, you can tighten up zip tie number 5. Additional zip tie points after number 5 is going to be 6 right here, 7, 8 is going to be on the top. And you are zip tying to the factory harness to avoid Cooltrax harness rubbing against the belt. Zip point 6 is located right here. Zip tie number 7 and zip tie number 6. On all gateway devices, the connection has 2 channels. On the Dutch connection, it has 2 channels as well. It can only go in one way. If you try to push it in the wrong way, you cannot go further past the tip. These channels, if you're looking at the gateway, right side up, will always be on the right hand side. It'll pop in just like that. The area you want the gateway to be installed is in this section against the frame. Before making your marks, you want to make sure the harness is not pinched or crooked. You want to make sure it's straight down. Then from here, you can make your marks with your 5/32 drill bit. Pre-drill these holes. After you got the 3 holes pre-drilled, you get your tech screw, which is a 5/16 head. You get center one first. Make sure it has a little bit of wiggle room so you can apply the other 2. After all 3 are lined up, then you can tighten them. From here, you can go to zip tie point A, 8, 9, and 10. If you have to cut the zip ties from the factory, that is perfectly fine. Just make sure you zip tie them to the other harness or zip tie them together. These clips, you can pass another zip tie through these clips. Pull. I'll also cut this zip tie. I can remove it. Apply a secondary zip tie from Cooltrax. That's to help with the stability. Zip tie number 8. The slack, you're going to roll up. I have in these 2 areas. zip ties to hold the slack together, then 2 additional zip ties to hold the Cooltrax harness to carrier harness. After putting the 2 zip ties for the slack, we're going to use 2 additional zip ties to hold our harness to the factory harness. Total of 4 zip ties. 2 for the slack, 2 to hold on to the factory harness. If need be, depending how the slack is adjusted, you may have to add an additional one. Sometimes you won't, sometimes you will. After you finish the install, close all the doors, come back to the battery, and reconnect. And that completes an 8600 carrier Apex display.